Welcome to the AeroBear podcast, episode 1. I'm Isaac Lopez, and this is Bear Lopez, my co-host. Say hi, Bear.
Hello.
He just woke up from a nap. Lots of training. We're just jumping in really quickly into this podcast because we don't really have a game plan except there's to catch up on what Bear's been doing the last 2 months, the first 2 months of the season. Recapping some of those big races, and then also kind of getting his thoughts on the Giro d'Italia, and which is one of the big bike races occurring right now, and get his picks for the GC. So that's really it, Bear. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure,
cool. Well, also happy birthday because we're recording this on your birthday.
Yeah.
You're now
18.
Now 18.
Yeah. one last final year as a junior.
Yeah. And you're graduating soon, right?
Yep. I'm graduating here in a couple weeks.
That's crazy, dude. I seriously can't even, because I got to take you to your first bike race.
Yeah.
Down in Boise. And how old were you then? Was that?
13, 14.
13. That's crazy. So we drove to Boise. It was a 5-hour drive.
Yeah. For a 30-minute race.
I think that's also when you got into Minecraft.
Yeah.
Because you played hours of Minecraft hanging out at my brother and sister-in-law's.
That's likely.
Yeah. But now you're a professional in Minecraft.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
What would be a top Minecrafting tip to people who are first getting into it?
Shaders. No, not shaders. Texture packs aren't cheating.
Okay.
Use texture packs.
Okay.
There's my Minecraft tip.
Yeah.
But don't tell anyone you're using them because they'll think you're cheating.
my tip is just keep digging. Mine for as much blocks of whatever element is there. Like it could be rock. Sure. It could be... and then build a massive castle. Make it butt ugly. But make it big. And then have
He does follow through on these.
Make a massive, ugly fortress. Maybe do some sky bridges. But basically live out your medieval dreams of being a knight and having an ugly but massive castle.
Absolutely.
So that's my tip. And then don't let your sister get near it because she will destroy it.
Yeah.
In her opinion, it looks better, which I can see why... From an objective standard, it would look better.
Yeah.
So Minecraft aside, your cycling season has been... I feel like every week you've got a big race where you're just cranking out. Before that, 100 miles and training that week, and then you're jumping into... the race, and if no one's following you on Strava that's listening to this podcast, they should go follow you on Strava. You're just Bear Lopez, right?
Yep, just Bear Lopez on Strava.
Yeah, so because you're covering a ton of miles every single week. It's really impressive. I really want to highlight a couple of the big races first. You did go down to RedLands, California, and it was a 3-day stage race? Yeah,
3 days. 3 days.
Okay.
3 stages.
3 stages.
Yep.
Okay. Tell me how that went.
That was a rough one. That was definitely... I was hoping to really perform well at that one, and it didn't really click at that race. We had the first day where, I don't know how many... We had several thousand feet of elevation gain. The circuit looked suited to me, and I just fell apart on it. So, it could have been from a bit of, heat. It was my first day really racing in the heat, and we had mid-90s for the temperature that day. And I just really, the power just wasn't there that day, so fell apart. And then the next few days I got better, but I just didn't have the handling to stick it with the group and the crits. So overall, a fairly disappointing weekend, but it was a good experience. And it's been kind of what I'm looking to try to put right later in the years to try to get back to that national level of junior competition and try to see if I can perform well.
Okay, so let's zoom out. So when you're talking about you didn't perform well, right now you're a Cat 3 rider, correct?
Cat 3, yeah.
And there's 5 categories for cyclists who want to turn professional.
Yep.
And you start as a Cat 5, and you bump up each category by attaining a certain amount of points, and those points are attained and achieved at races, right?
Mm-hmm.
So going into RedLands, what was the goal for that? Was it to accrue just points and placing top 10 overall? Because you were racing juniors. Were you also racing Cat 3 riders, or is it just strictly juniors?
It's just strictly juniors.
Okay.
So juniors, I think of all levels at RedLands. So as high as Cat 1, Cat 2 juniors.
Wow. Okay. I don't think I realized that.
Yeah, so they were all high level. I know there is the Bros Ride Bikes guys that were there and competed pretty well at RedLands. They were guest riding for a pro team at Bloom while I was racing.
Wow.
So, yeah, we had a wide span of competition. So the goal is always to pick up points.
Okay.
That's just a way to progress in USA cycling. So, obviously, I wanted to try to pick up points, but I knew it was going to be tough in that competition. So, I wanted to just prove that I could compete there and just kind of stick in the group. Basically, do what I did at Bloom, where I never really got dropped from the front group. I was always kind of there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have the leg sport in that race.
Yeah. And you didn't go with a team. You were teamless, right?
No.
Did some of these guys come with teams?
Yeah, there were some bigger teams.
Okay.
Plenty of solo hitters as well, though, and some strong 1 or 2 guys. But yeah, you had like the big cycling programs like Team California and El Grupo there that were all in big squads.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, what's the cap on a team? Like, how many people can they bring into?
I'm not sure. It felt like there was a million El Grupo guys there. I mean,
yeah, no wonder you're on the outs. I feel like that's a lot of that's an uphill battle.
I'm not sure what the limits are. I don't know if there was a limit for a team in the junior RedLands, but I know like at Bloom you could only bring I think 7 guys.
Okay.
7 or 8 guys for a squad, and I'd assume that's what's there. But if you have a group of 50 at RedLands with a combined squad, yeah, a team of 7 or 8 feels pretty huge, and you feel like you're seeing one of them everywhere.
Yeah. So RedLands doesn't go quite according to plan, but you did get a lot of training down in Boise before you headed over to RedLands. Because you had Birds of Prey, which was another just 1-day race, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and you had another race down there.
Birds of Prey and Pickle Butte.
Okay, cool. And those were kind of middle of the pack performances for you, like Okay.
Yeah, just another one where positioning, I didn't get positioning right in Birds of Prey, and kind of overextended myself and. Yeah, kind of had a similar result to RedLands.
Right.
And Pickle Butte, I was able just to kind of ride within myself and ride to a decent spot.
Okay, nice. So when you came out of those, when you got home, you had what was the Criterium series called again? Up in Spokane.
We had the Twilight series.
Twilight series, right? Yeah. And that was a couple weeks removed from getting back from RedLands, but you hopped up in there. And a criterium is just a race that goes in circles, right? Like for a certain amount of time, then you get the final bell. Yeah, and you've got like one more lap, right?
Yeah, we'll have for the first couple of laps, they'll just be timing how fast we're doing it. And then once they have an idea, they'll give us a countdown at like 8 to go.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And then
cool.
That'll be set. So you're racing for time until they kind of get a ballpark of how fast we're going, and then they'll set the amount of laps we have left to try to get us to hit around the 40 or 45-minute mark.
Yeah. So you kind of had a rough start to the season, but it seemed like you started to get your legs back under you in this, like in the A series and then the B series. Because you do 2 races. You race with the A pack and then you race with the B pack. Yeah. A pack is going to be a mix of like 1s all the way down to 3s, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, it could be some really good competition in that. Yeah. So, walk me through that those back-to-back races that you did.
Yeah, I mean the Twilight series is the closest thing we have to a local race. Right. So it's probably the group that I've raced with the most over the last few years.
And that's still an hour and a half away.
Yeah, it's still an hour and a half away.
Like you have to drive so much to get to races around here.
Yeah. So, so we start off with the A race each day, and I think we usually have a pack of like 20 or so for that, and usually. and sometimes more. Sometimes we stretch that a little bit bigger. But I wasn't too worried about like specifically chasing a result in the A race because I just wanted to kind of test where I was compared to last year in that.
Okay.
And so the last few races in the A, I've just been trying to be an agent of chaos and try to run with as many breakaways as I can. So
cool.
I was pretty aggressive there, trying to go with any attack to try to get away, and nothing really stuck. And so we ended up just rolling through for a group finish, and I didn't really have the legs for a sprint in the A race. I had put in a decent amount of effort. And then rolling around for the B race, I was kind of ready to just kind of punch it, and we took like the first lap or two pretty steady. There were some other guys who had swung down from the B race, from the A race as well.
Okay.
And
so you had some competition.
Yeah, we had some competition. Yeah. And it was good because the B race, since there's people, the stronger guys are usually a little bit tired, and the other riders are usually a little bit smarter with how they start. We don't start as full out as the A race does. Okay. So after a couple laps, though, me and I think the guy who finished second in the A took off, and we took one other guy with us.
Okay, wow.
Local guy from Spokane, and we ended up just doing basically a 3-up breakaway for the last 25, 30 minutes of the race. Okay. And then rolling into the finish, I managed to get good position, sitting second in that group, and then get to the line first and grab my first win there. And
it was close, right? Like I feel like I was seeing dads filming you at the finish line, and it was tight.
I think it was within a wheel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a little photo finish.
Yeah. It was close. But I was fairly confident once. I had that feeling once I had left the draft, because he started to sprint a little. I always try to wait to actually go full out until close to the end, because I think I have a good acceleration time, but I don't have a great extended sprint.
Right.
So I kind of waited, and once I'd gone around and started to accelerate and he didn't have a second kick, that's when I was like, okay, I'm gaining, and I think I have enough time between here and the finish to catch him.
It's so interesting. So much of it is by feel. Just knowing, you just have a sense that your opponent or opponents are fading in a certain moment. But there's nothing, you can't see their computers on their bikes. It's not like you're watching their wattage and their power output and okay, I've got them, right? My VOT max is way higher than this guy's. It's not even close. So it's just, there's still an element to just coming around so quickly on those.
Yeah.
But that had to have felt good to get that first win of the season.
Yeah, it was good, and just kind of, that was where I think I won the first race as well in the B last year.
Yeah.
Off of a similar thing. This was just a full out attack. Last year I won off of I usually try to sneak out after preems.
Okay.
And so I would follow guys through preems, not sprint for the preems, and then if they took off after that, I just go with them.
And explain what a preem is.
A preem is basically, so you have the finish line that you're coming through each lap on a crit. And at these races and at most crits, you'll have maybe 1 or 2 laps where they declared a preem lap, where there's a cash prize or another, a gift card or something like that, on prize for whoever gets the line first on that lap.
Oh, nice.
So it's basically just a way to incite some racing halfway through.
And you can make a little money, too, while you're doing it. Because all these guys, cycling isn't their profession.
Oh, yeah.
They're coming out here and just
for
racing.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what they did at Bloom. I know it's jumping ahead a little bit, but Bloom, they put a $500 preem on the first lap.
Oh my gosh.
Which was crazy. And I was glad I managed to fight up near the front before the start, because that was going to be insane. I don't know. I need to figure out who actually got that, but someone walked away with $500 and basically probably sat pretty the rest of the crit after pocketing that.
Totally. Yeah. So let's go ahead and talk about Bloom. I mean, you've done this race before.
Yeah.
It is massive. You have there's 93 riders.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
93 guys. And if you haven't seen the series, you should go watch it because we just finished posting every stage. Yep. And you get a sense for how big the pack is. Because, we would always talk, especially last year, you and I did a great job of either calling or texting after every race.
Yep.
And you would kind of or I'd get a text from Dad saying the size of the race, how many riders are in there. But the camera footage just really captures the size of the pack or the peloton.
Yeah.
And so 93 riders were there. You had 4 stages in 3 days, right?
Yep.
So which day did you double up? What were the stages?
For these races, it's usually the second day where you double up. Okay. So we double up on the hill climb and crit stage.
Wow.
So they're technically the shortest, but they're usually the more intense.
Yeah, and for both, just doing back to back.
Yeah.
How much time did you have of rest between each?
It was nice. This year we had a bit more of a gap. I think we raced at 9 in the morning, and then I want to say 5 or 6 in the evening. And we actually got to race a little bit later this year, but the pro race. The pro crit didn't start until 9:15.
Wow.
In the evening.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw some of the footage on that, and that looked really epic. Yeah. Just at night, going through the streets.
Yeah, if you get a chance to go watch a night crit, especially at Bloom, absolutely go do it, because it's really cool. They bring out the lights to light up the corners. The street lights, street lamps are on. It's a really cool atmosphere.
Yeah, so stage 1, that was a road race, right?
Yep, the Waterville road race.
And that there was a good climb in there.
Yeah, we still picked up, I want to say almost 3,000 feet of elevation.
Okay.
But you never really feel this is a pure climbing stage.
Right.
There's one really steep climb in the first loop that I think we did 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
But yeah, it's interesting because you always have to be near the front on that, just because you never know how it's going to get split up. Last year at Bloom, I was out of position there, and then the break went up that climb, and I ended up time trialing through the entire group and into the break, made into the break, and then 10 miles later blew up. Just nothing left. But yeah, this year I was staying near the front, and I was kind of wondering if anyone was going to do anything, but it never really goes. There's never an attack on the actual steep section.
Darn.
It's always right after as we turn left, and it's a long, slow uphill.
Okay, which you want not short and steep. You want steep.
Yeah.
To really accelerate. That's where your particular strengths are.
Yeah.
You're
just
a good
because
rider
of how light I am.
Yeah.
It's
and also you have talent on the hills. It's not just how light you are. You've developed really nicely attacking long hills.
The break went, I think. Well, it's weird. It wasn't exactly a break. It was I think the first day was arguably the most brutal day this year for the Cat 2-3s. Because I think the first lap we stayed all together, and it was on the last lap where we kind of broke it apart. I was basically just following the Frontier team and trailing their leader, and whenever he got moved up, I would just sit on his wheel and get moved up.
Okay.
And that's how I actually made it into the initial split. We moved up after the steep climb, had one of their guys do a quick effort to kind of close the gap. And I heard there's a sound that you come to realize where it's a clatter and then an abrupt sound that you just know someone's hit the ground behind you.
Okay.
And I heard that behind me. I was ooh, that was close. So I think we literally were the last people to go across before there was a crash, and the group just got absolutely split apart.
Wow. Okay. Do you know if it was super big?
It was a decent size.
Okay.
There was quite a few guys who... I know there was one of a guy that I've raced with both in Boise and up here in Wenatchee that ended up not being able to race the rest because he had cut open his hand, so he couldn't hold the handlebars, and that really stinks. Just to have to kind of sit and watch the next few days. But yeah, we made it across. I think we had like 40 that made it.
Okay.
And then it split into 2 after that.
Okay. When was that? Another accident? Was that attacks?
That was just attacks.
Okay.
So I was fairly confident that I would have made it across, but if we had just kept steady, but then some guys in the group probably smartly just decided we don't want to wait. We don't want to risk it taking any longer. So they attacked across, and I was I just don't have the power.
Yeah.
I think it was like a crosswind section.
Okay.
So, but we were like in groups of like 10 at that point, just kind of strung out along the course.
And so you finished this race. Where did you finish in the first stage?
I managed to get back with the second group on the road.
Oh, great. Okay. Cool.
And then we actually did some work together. Thankfully, POA and Frontier both not Frontier. Future Racing did some work to close up the gap. Okay. So I ended up finishing in the first peloton on the road.
Nice.
There was a group of like 3 that finished like 20 seconds up the road.
Nice.
But yeah, I finished like 22nd. And I think there was only 35 guys that made that front group. Everyone else was 2 minutes back.
Cool.
So that was kind of like the main like the biggest GC move I had was staying in the front group.
Yeah, well, that's big. Yeah. I mean, just the frustration of RedLands. Yeah. I knew it was building. Like, I knew, like, this, just, like, the season hadn't started the way you wanted it to. Mm-hmm. But, like, to just, like, I feel like you showed some maturity, like, making sure you stayed closer to the front, which that takes just a lot of, I don't know if discipline's the right word, but you just, like, keeping to the front.
You have to be active about it. If you're not actively trying to move up in Cat 2-3 races, you're usually getting shuffled back.
Okay.
So they're just guys are always willing to take the wheel that you're on if you let them. Yeah. So if you're not actively trying to move up, you're going to get moved to the back of the group, and then that's going to create problems.
Yeah, which that goes to Criterium. That just the footage of cornering, how aggressive people can be. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was actually another pileup in that Criterium. Yeah. And this was stage 2 or 3?
Stage 3.
Stage 3, yeah. Because that was, that looked like, and you were further back, actually, so you could have gotten caught in that action. Yeah. Unfortunately. But you didn't.
Yeah, in the crit, I was just kind of, I wanted to hang on, but I also wasn't going to try to roll a brake off the front or anything. It was just too fast. And so I was just kind of committed to staying at the back and tail gun, and so I was usually in the back like 20 for most of the race, which ended up working out because I always had the room to maneuver in the back, but if you're in the middle of the big pack, you can't move at all. So I think that's where the crash happened. I was able to kind of read that and dive to the inside. Yeah. And that kind of allowed me to bridge back up to that front group and stay upright, which was a big thing. Yeah.
Did you bump up a spot in that race?
Yeah, I think I might have bumped up like one spot, like 22nd, 21st.
Yeah, because you ended up finishing 19th overall.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe I was 20th after the crit. Maybe like 19th to 20th.
Yeah, because like I thought
20th to 19th.
Yeah, well, I thought you had gained one spot in the last stage on the last climb. Yeah. Like you caught up with someone and like you got securely in the top 10.
Yeah, it was a really weird race. So I can't remember. I think I was maybe like 20th after day 2.
Okay.
And then on the last day, I finished outside the top 20 again, but moved up to 19th.
Nice.
So it was a weird race where I never finished top 20, but I finished top 20.
You finished top 20 overall. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the way cycling will work. Yeah. I think what's incredible is just, so I don't think I really put it together that you had the Criterium and the stage 2 race in the same day, because how many calories endurance athletes burn in just one event, and going back to back after a big road race the day before and finishing the next day on another massive road race where it was 75 miles, right? That takes a ton, that turnaround time, and you were telling me how your legs felt shot, like,
Yeah.
or you just felt tired,
Yeah.
right? And just like developing that, just the endurance that you need, but also just like knowing how much you've got to eat to replace all the calories. I mean, what was that like? The second, after the third stage, going into the fourth stage, you get done in the evening. I mean, are you just like looking for? I mean, you're always eating burgers at the end of your videos, but are you looking for like burgers? And I mean, how do you replenish all that fuel?
Well, we ate a decent amount of pizza after the crit.
Okay,
that was
cool.
We have a pizza place there in Wenatchee that we always go to after the crit, and it's been pretty good each year. But yeah, it's really by any means just pack as much in as you can. I mean, like, because the first day, and then I think I messed up my warm up going into the hill climb and didn't really help out the tired state my legs were in. So I was not doing well on that because I did like a decent 30-minute power, but not amazing. Yeah. Or like 20-minute power, but I did a higher 30-minute power during the crit. Like I had like my third best 30-minute power of all time or something like that. On the third race, essentially. But going to the fourth day, I'd eaten a ton. It's the longest stage. You got 76 miles. And, so it's a lot of fueling. I'm honestly, the fourth day, I felt pretty similar compared to going into the first day. It was, I felt pretty well recovered. And I think fueling was a big part of that, where I didn't feel like I was gassed going to the fourth day.
That's impressive.
Like my heart rate was lower, but then again, my heart rate also didn't go as high on the fourth day. So I think there is an aspect that as you have those multiple days of endurance events, you might be able to settle in, but you're not going to have that top end really intense effort. Right. It was a good day. I managed to do some things that I wasn't sure if I had the ability to do in Cat 2-3 race. Closed up some gaps when they opened in front of me, and I got caught out of position onto the last. I think we caught down video. I have like the whole back stretch heading back to the climb. Yeah, and got caught out of position. They just ripped it apart. From me,
I mean, it went fast. Yeah, it was a fast attack.
So I managed to bridge up to that, but then I never had a shot at moving up. I was gonna burn myself up too much trying to move up. I think we averaged like 28 in the last 5 miles heading into the climb. Wow. It was gonna be really tough to move up, but I think I put like my third best my third best 5-minute power of all time up the final climb. So I was happy to see that legs were there. And there's not really any excuses for the climb when I see that kind of power at the end of that race. So you just have to build more muscle. Really.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, well, I've got a great group for you if you need to work on strength training. Yeah.
Tear something. Yeah.
So there's some really good stuff. That. Congratulations on a really good race. That's really cool. To kind of turn it around. I do want to get your thoughts on the Giro before we get going here. Who's your favorite? Like, who do you think? Because Primoz Roglic was one of the leading candidates to win the GC. Juan Ayuso looks really strong. Yeah. But I mean, who would you have to pick if you were given a lineup?
I mean, I would probably go for Roglic. I think it's a common pick, but one I personally kind of want Roglic to get our win. I'm really rooting for him here. He's in Lairpart. I'd love to see him win a tour. I'm not sure if it's ever going to happen. But
wait, he's never won a tour?
He's never won a tour.
No, he's won other Grand Tours.
He's won other Grand Tours, but he's never won a
he's not going to win the Tour de France. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude's washed.
He's okay. But I don't know. He's got to have 5 or 6 Grand Tour wins now. Yeah. And he's got at least 4 in the Vuelta, and he's got 1 in the Giro. But yeah, he just hasn't been able to quite get that tour win. And unfortunately, I think Tadej and Vingegaard have both ridden with him or raced against him at his peak, and they know he's dangerous, so he's never going to be a guy to sneak away in a breakaway or like be a surprise. They're always gonna watch him.
Yeah, and I know he's not washed. I just think like it's really crazy.
Nah, he thinks he's washed.
How Poggi and Vingegaard are just like they're on another level.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. But Primoz seems to be a very mature climber.
Yeah.
So like yeah, like
I think that's his strength in this Giro is I think his experience is going to play a big part later on.
It will be interesting because there's only 2 uphill finishes.
Yeah,
like, and we've already had one of them.
I think it's still got like a great
better.
Yeah, he had a good punch at the end, but he only took like 4 seconds.
Right,
from Roglic.
Right. Yeah, because it looked like Roglic was just in a bad position. I don't know if he was tired.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like that's a finish still that Roglic should be good at.
Right.
That kind of punch at the end, but I mean, if you want a real like a surprise winner, I would love to see Bernal take a win. He looked good in the first few stages.
Okay, yeah.
He's won 1 Giro, won a Tour, in the pre-Poggi Vingegaard era.
Yeah.
And so I'd love to see him to kind of return to form after a string of bad luck for him. But yeah, I think Roglic will get it in the end. Yeah, but I'd love to see Bernal at least get on that podium.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, I'm going to pull for Juan Ayuso. I think it would just be cool.
A UAE bandwagon.
No, I hate UAE. I will always stick with Vingegaard, and like no matter what you say, last Tour de France, you and Dad were picking, and you guys kept picking Tade, and I had to go with Vingegaard.
Well, I mean, the last one we picked him because Vingegaard had like a punctured lung 2 months earlier. I think it was a reasonable pick to pick Poggi.
Yeah. Well, Vingegaard is looking pretty good this year. Yeah. He's had a couple really good performances. But to wrap it up, we've got what races do you have next? And also you got graduation in 2 weeks, right?
Yep.
Which is nuts.
Yeah.
Is finals this week or next week?
Next week.
Next week, okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks of school left.
It's wild, dude. Congrats, man.
It's going to be crazy.
Yeah. So what races do you have? Are you racing between now and then?
Well, I still have like the Twilight crit.
Okay.
I think we have 2 of those before graduation. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get to the one on finals week.
Yeah. Thursday night.
It wouldn't be the first time I've sacrificed schoolwork time for a crit, but
senior year, no big deal.
Yeah, senioritis hitting hard.
I mean, you'll be able to do it next year again too. So.
Yeah, what's it really matter?
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I think after that, I think we're going to head down to Boise to do, I think we have the state road race.
Okay.
State champs for the road race and the crit down there, which would be cool to go do. And then hopefully come up and do either, we have a local hill climb just down Lewiston that I might do, or a 150-mile Grand Fondo up in Spokane.
Okay.
Not Spokane, but up in that area, up north. And then after that, the plan is to head out for one last race on U.S. soil in Wisconsin.
Right, and that's several stages, right?
Yeah,
that's
like
4.
Tour of America's Dairyland. 4, I think it's spaced out over 6 days, 4 races. Okay. And I think they're all crits just in different towns in Wisconsin.
Of course, yeah. They love crits.
Yeah.
All we can do is go in circles.
Yeah.
And then you'll fly. And we'll talk before then.
Yeah.
And kind of like get more of our bearings for what your travels will look like. But
for sure.
You'll be going to Ireland and Belgium this summer. It's locked in.
Yeah, it's definitely locked in now. Yeah. Got a one-way plane ticket.
I'm not coming back. I can't afford to come back.
Yeah.
No, actually, deportation. I think they pay
true.
you. I think they pay for your flight if they have to deport you. Just hopefully you don't go to El Salvador.
Yeah, but the problem is I don't know if they pay to deport my bike as well.
That would be a loss. Yeah.
I need it.
Well, anyway, Bear, thanks for sitting down.
Yeah, it's been fun.
This was our inaugural episode 1 of the AeroBear podcast.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts before we sign off?
No.
Cool. Well, thanks for listening. And if you haven't, and you're listening on YouTube, go subscribe, because we're always looking to add numbers to Bear's channel. Bear will be eternally grateful.
I will be.
And if you really want to support, if you really want to go an extra step further, go to his Gibson Go.
An extra necessary step.
Extra necessary step.
Yeah.
Go to his Gibson Go. It'll be linked in the show description.
Yeah.
Anyway, have a great day, guys.